Corporation meeting at 6 o'clock. Call the roll, please.
Director Quillisi,
Here.
Director Ulrich,
Here.
Director Martinson, Director Berg, is not present. Director Curtis, present. Director Kentosh, present, and Chair Stone.
Here. Guess we need the reading of the meeting notice and verification of delivery and posting.
Notice is hereby given that the Ojai Valley Sanitary District Financing Corporation Board of Directors will hold their regular annual meeting at approximately 6 p.m. on Monday, June 17th, 2024 at the Ojai Valley Sanitary District Administration Office located at 1072 Chico Road, Ojai, California. This notice was posted by Allison Young, myself, clerk of the board, June 11th, 2024 at 10 o'clock a.m. at the district office.
Thank you. Are there any additions or amendments to the agenda?
There's not.
Any public concerns?
Nobody on from the phone.
No public concerns. All right, then let's move on to items. This is 7, approval of minutes of June 19th, 2023, regular meeting. Meetings are retained in district office for a minimum of 4 years. And the corporate status report. There's some committee reports. And
Need a motion on the minutes?
yes.
I move approval.
Second, Allison, we need roll call.
Sure. Director Martinson,
Yes.
Director Ulrich,
Yes.
Director Quillisi,
Yes.
and Chair Stone.
Yes. Corporation status report.
The status report is actually contained in the packet. More of a formality than anything, explains exactly how the financing corporation came about. The district needed to structure a financing corporation in order to borrow. And so we keep it active in the event that we need to borrow again, but also because we have existing debt under the financing corporation. We are required to keep the corporation active and in compliance. Not only do we have to continue to file our statement of information with the state, but we also have to hold an annual board meeting for the financing corporation, which we do annually concurrently with this particular meeting. And that is the status currently.
Thank you. Do we have any officers and or committee reports?
This is just a receipt.
We have no unfinished business. We have no new business. So we will adjourn this at 6:03.
Want to wait a few minutes, see if we get some.
Yeah, we can wait. Let's give them till 6:05 and see if they show.
So we, I think, need one more member, Misha. We have our rate ordinance second meeting is, and we have to have a supermajority, correct? So we have to have 5.
Yeah,
So we're missing 1 for that essential.
this gentleman. Are you a board member?
Yes.
No, I just show up.
That's Lowell Martinson.
Gotcha.
So we need one of,
You're not a-
no,
No.
we only have
I
1.
understand. Yeah, you're right.
I wonder if we ought to reach out and see.
That's what I saw. Well, you do look different from last time I saw you.
He wore his mask all the time. He doesn't have his mask on.
Yes, and that's what you were seeing on your screen, where it's hard to tell one person from another
Yes, it is.
around the table.
Yes, it is.
Jim, it's Allison with the sanitary district. Oh. Okay. The board meeting is right now. I'm not. It was part of the budget schedule that we adopted several months ago, where this meeting had to have a special meeting because of the noticing for the rate ordinance.
Can I help you? Where's the meeting?
I think you should.
Oh,
Okay, perfect.
I think I see a public concern.
And we'll be here in 10 minutes.
That'll give us 5.
Andy?
Would you like to reach out to Berg as well?
Sit down over here if you want.
I got bored of your voicemail.
Not well.
Randy?
Also minutes.
Change because today is our 57th. Whoa. My wife is very patient. It's a long time.
It's a long time.
Your anniversary, is that what you're talking about?
57 is not a special number.
Pretty special.
On our 25th, we were living in Cincinnati and I was out here in Riverside teaching law enforcement software to the Riverside County Sheriff. We have often not celebrated days on the day.
Well, I hope you can tonight or later tomorrow. I'm totally. I remember once I was at a budget meeting at work and we didn't have to have the meeting. It ran until 8 o'clock at night or something. At the end of it, I told my manager, I said, today's my kid's birthday. I'm never doing this again. And she apologized profusely and gave them each a little present. You know, they were 3 years old at the time. So we never had another late meeting on my birthday, my kid's birthday.
Who's that phone?
I don't know.
Goodness. Can
Well,
you
we should officially.
magical powers read the whole number?
Chabarto,
Being anonymous.
again,
If somebody wants to be anonymous, you know, I mean, they can.
filling in for Dennis McNair, general counsel.
That's an option when you call.
Yeah, I've been here before.
That's by default. I couldn't do this if they want to change their thing to read that they're John Smith or whatever, you know, they can, but
Attorney
if they're called, you know, so.
works.
And actually, no, that's a phone, so it wouldn't even show.
There's
It's who they are, what they do, yeah. Counselor, as
Yeah.
long as you know what they do.
Good to see you.
It does look like a number that may be in our pool. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. I was gonna do that too.
I know I heard your name before, I couldn't.
Add a whole. Like a 207-987. Exactly, yeah.
I did it when I was 22.
Yeah. I don't know if it's age.
Not my age.
We have more important things to remember.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the ticket.
No, yes, different number.
Microphone is everything, so it's, I have that excuse when I'm around her.
Okay, that makes sense.
Tyler sent that out a few days before she sent their agenda. Okay. So it's a different one then. Yeah, I couldn't remember. We had a whole slew there in that range there for a while.
So is it their intent to show up?
Yeah, Jim is on his way. So we'll have to wait.
He doesn't live far.
Yeah.
Andy and Jack are just among the missing.
Yeah, Jack, I don't know. He would be here, I'm sure, if he could. And then Randy, I called, but I got forwarded to voicemail, so I texted him.
I'd have missed it too. I was sound asleep. My son called, woke us up. What time is it? Oh my God.
Okay, give me a minute to start. We're good. Okay. We will open the June 7th special meeting at 6:22. Call a roll. 2000.
Director Curtis, calling roll.
Yeah.
Director Quillisi.
Here.
Director Martinson,
Here.
Director Kentosh,
I can't believe I'm here.
Director Ulrich,
As you are.
and Director Berg is absent, and Chair Stone.
Here. And we have one. It was Bill 2440 to consider, and that was for Director Curtis. He has ongoing medical conditions that make it intermittent for him to be here.
Approval of that request.
You need a roll call vote on that, Allison?
Roll call on AB 2449, Misha. I haven't had one in so long.
No, I don't think so.
You stood all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Threw me for.
Can't hear anything.
Okay, we just approved your AB 2449 request so that you can attend telephonically, okay? Okay, now we're getting,
Hear. Can't hear anybody.
okay. We'll talk louder. Okay, can you hear me better now?
Yeah,
Okay,
but I can't hear the people talk.
we're not.
Nobody's talking.
Okay, I guess we're ready for the Pledge of Allegiance. I can stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll move on to item 4. It's a special meeting, so there is no additions or amendments to the agenda. On to item 5, public concerns. Do we have any public?
There is somebody that claims to be a reporter on the phone, but that's it.
This is for items not on the agenda, so if we have anybody here that wants to speak on items on the agenda, you'll have your opportunity. This would be for anything not on the agenda.
I'd like to open it up for them and see if this is what they want, or
It is open, I mean, so.
okay.
Hello, reporter.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and move on to consent items 6 and 7.
Just for item number 6, Director Quillisi pointed out that the minutes that we are approving for May 28th, were missing a authorization to sign the contracts with CPS HR Consulting, the general manager and interim general manager recruitment. So that authorization has been made part of the motion, and the amended minutes will be executed accordingly.
Thank you. I guess I need a motion for this.
Move approval of the consent items.
Motion in a second. Anybody want to pull anything for discussion? Roll call, Allison, please.
Director Quillisi,
Yes.
Director Curtis.
Yeah.
Director Martinson,
Yes.
Director Kentosh,
Yes.
Yes.
Chair Stone.
I'm yes on 7. I wasn't here for the minutes on 6. Staying on 6. Moving on to action items. Item 8, proposed ordinance number OVSD-84, amending the district code of regulations to establish service charges. You conduct the second reading, please.
Ohio Valley Sanitary District Ordinance Number OVSD 84, an ordinance of the Board of Directors of the Ohio Valley Sanitary District amending the district code of regulations to establish sewer service charges.
Thank you. We'll conduct a public hearing in accordance with Proposition 218. So we'll open the public hearing at 6:27. We had any written communications or staff reports, Allison?
None.
Public comments. Anybody in the public wishing to make a comment? SD 84. No comments. We will close Public hearing at 6:27. Discussion by the board
Include a motion.
would include a motion.
I move approval of OVSD 84 with the effective date of July 1st of this year.
A motion and second. Any further discussion by board? So call the roll, Allison, please.
Director Quillisi,
Yes.
Director Curtis, Director Martinson,
No.
Director Kentosh,
Yes.
Ulrich, and Chair Stone.
Yes. Passes.
5-1.
Okay, moving on to item 9, sewer service charges for collection on tax roll for fiscal year 2024.
Okay, so this is, we presented the A and B list, last week. These will be sewer service charges, that are entering tax roll for the first time. So these are parcels that have not been served, as well as parcels that will be re-entering tax roll. So every year we submit to the tax assessors what the charges will be, for each fiscal year, tax year. This is no different than any other year. We have the list of parcels for both A and B ready to submit accordingly. And now we will have a public hearing.
Okay, we'll open this public hearing at 6:29. Have we had any communications?
Not.
Move on to public comment. Any public comment? Hearing none and seeing none. Close the public hearing at 6:29. Any discussion by the board?
I would move approval of item 9, A, B, D, E, and F.
Second.
Have a motion and a second.
Who was the second? Okay. Ready for roll call?
Yes, that's good. Call the roll, Allison.
Director Quillisi,
Yes.
Director Curtis.
Yeah.
Director Martinson,
Yes.
Director Kentosh,
Yes.
Director Ulrich,
Yes.
and Chair Stone.
Yes. We move on to item 10, sewer capacity charges paid in installments collected on the tax roll for fiscal year 2024, 2025.
As with item number 9, item 10, also regarding submissions to the tax assessor, this is for capacity charges paid in installments, otherwise known as our deferred agreements, that we present to the board each year. So this will be any new deferred agreement entered into prior to our submission to tax roll, in which they are generally the 5-year financing terms. Each year we submit what the balance due to be leveraged on the tax roll. So this would be anybody re-entering on an existing deferred agreement, as well as anybody that is being entered for the first time to begin their deferred agreement. Those lists are also ready to submit to the tax assessor for the deadline.
Small number of those, I take
They
it.
are just a handful of new ones. Existing is the ones.
64.
Probably.
Okay. Move on to conduct a public hearing. We'll open the public hearing at 6:31. Is there any written communications? Item 10. Any public comment? Hearing none, seeing none, we'll close public hearing at 6:31. Discussion by the board.
I'll move approval of item 10, A, B, D, E, and F.
A motion and a second. Allison, just call the roll, please.
Director Quillisi,
Yes.
Director Curtis.
Yeah.
Director Martinson,
Yes.
Director Kentosh,
Yes.
Yes.
and Chair Stone.
Yes. Okay, we'll move on to item 11. Proposed ordinance number OVSD 85, replacement of ordinance number OVSD 74, setting board member compensation. Allison, could you conduct the first reading by title only?
Ojai Valley Sanitary District Ordinance Number OVSD 85, an ordinance of the Board of Directors of the Ojai Valley Sanitary District setting board member compensation. And then I'll give a brief staff report on this. This was reviewed by the ordinance committee. It's actually been reviewed a couple of times in an ongoing discussion. It has been since 2015 that the board member compensation amount has been reviewed or changed. It currently is set at $175 per meeting. This is proposing to increase it to $250 per meeting, which is in compliance with all legal statutes as far as annual increments allowable under any provision of law. Legal counsel has confirmed that.
Thank you. So do we need a motion on this, to direct staff to put this on July 22nd agenda?
Shouldn't require a motion just to put something on an agenda. What does our district council have to say?
You're actually setting the hearing, so I think that is.
I think you should, so that, I think that to be safe, you should.
And I would move to approve 11B. Direct staff to put this ordinance on the July agenda.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Let's call the roll, please.
Director Quillisi,
Yes.
Director Curtis,
Yeah.
Director Martinson,
Yes.
Director Kentosh,
Yes.
Ulrich,
Yes.
Senator Stone.
Yes. Moving on to item 12, resolution 2024-07, correcting choir salary schedule, resolutions 2011 and 2021-4, 2021-09, 2022-19, 2023-10, 2024-4, and 2024-6 to reflect the general manager's salary required per California Code of Regulations, Section 570.5, Public Employee Retirement Law.
So this should look strikingly familiar to the one that you adopted last board meeting. That was submitted to CalPERS and reviewed by a different department in CalPERS who has requested some additional corrections to it. So we are representing it per their request. What I have been told is that because of the sort of off dates of our ordinance versus our ordinance adoptions for salary schedule, which is generally going to be in July, and the annual anniversary of the general manager, we missed 3 payrolls accounted for by date. So they've asked that we cast our net a little wider. And so we have added an additional resolution salary schedule to account for the 3 missed payrolls. So we have we've gone back. Missing. So this is yet a continuation of the housekeeping item from last meeting.
A minuscule housekeeping.
Can I ask a question about this? I got to thinking about this and looking at it. Almost every, say, staff position, anybody who works here, there's a range of salaries for their positions, including, I think, for assistant general manager, but there is not a range for the general manager as we've now put it into that schedule. So because it was for Jeff and because it's past history, I don't have a problem with prior to the date that he retired, doing this kind of correction. But it strikes me that because we're putting this in as a salary schedule with no range, that we're perhaps committing ourselves to hiring a new manager at that same salary that's in this schedule. So what do we do about that?
You're not. So the general manager does not have a salary range. They are contracted for a specific salary, as was Jeff. And so his salary was only ever changed by contract amendment at the time of his annual evaluation and potential merit increase. And those are the amounts that are reflected on each salary schedule in the exact configuration requested by CalPERS. When you go to recruit for your new general manager, you will have the opportunity to state a range in which you will entertain as part of your hiring. You will commit to an exact salary upon your hire, and we will adopt a resolution resetting the general manager compensation, and we'll amend a salary schedule accordingly. This is solely to adopt the salary range that you had already committed to and had actually had payrolls processed on.
So there's no commitment because of publicizing this that
There's
manager.
There's
That's
not-
that's the only thing I was worried about.
We'll do a housekeeping when you decide on your actual salary and you elect the salary that you're actually going to put forward. We'll do the formal adoption of a salary schedule as required by the district practice and by CalPERS.
We need a motion on this as well. And I will entertain a motion in a second on item 12.
Want to do one for one?
Yes, motion.
Second, the motion to approve item 12.
Motion in a second. Any further discussion? Listen, call the roll, please.
Director Martinson,
Yes.
Director Kentosh,
Yes.
Director Quillisi,
Yes.
Director Ulrich,
Yes.
and Chair Stone.
Yes.
And
Oh,
Director
sorry,
Curtis.
Director Curtis.
Hey.
Jack, we're voting, I'm taking a roll call vote for item number 12.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, great. Noted.
Okay, moving on to item 13, resolution number 2024-08. A resolution summarizing adopted employee benefits and policies that will become effective July 1st, 2024.
Okay, so this is as part of our classification and compensation study, which also studied total benefits, which we had discussed over the course of several personnel meetings and board meetings, and presented various benefit benchmarks, if you will, for market comparison. We did this incrementally, and now we're wrapping it up, adopting a resolution that accounts for all of the board motions and decisions that were made. And we, with those motions in previous meetings, we did decide to make those effective July 1st, so we could get through several different topics and then have them effective in one resolution all at one time. So this is what we're doing. We amended, just for a summary, it was approved previously that paid vacation days would increase to 13 days per year for the 0 to 5 year employees. There would be no change to paid sick days, paid holidays, while it was observed, while some agencies observe a greater amount of holidays because of what holidays are available to public agencies. In lieu of changing our observed holiday calendar, we elected to add 2 floating holidays so that we were comparable, just but not by actual definition. We also changed our bereavement policy. The law had changed on that. The legal minimum was 5 unpaid days. The board elected to offer 5 paid days as our bereavement policy. We adopted a more generous overtime policy, which now allows employees to be paid overtime based on paid hours, 8 in a day, 40 hours in a week.
rather than work hours, yeah.
Correct. We also adopted a double time policy. These are for work hours that exceed 12 hours in a day being an actual traditional clock day. And so that we'll have to talk through that with employees who are on standby that cross over from one day to the other, what that looks like. But we previously did not have a double time policy. This will mostly come into effect during some sort of emergency, if you will, natural disaster. This has come into question. And so this is why we're adopting that. Additionally, standby rate of pay had not been reviewed in quite some time. It is now increased from $2.25 to $3.25 per hour, effective July 1st. And then lastly, the handbook has been forwarded to Leader Cassidy Whitmore to draft changes for reflecting just these items. So those will be track changed. And so anything in our handbook that requires updates to reflect these new adopted policy changes to existing policy. Will be reviewed and made sure that the terminology is easily understandable and it is compliant with the law. So for your adoption is resolution 2024-08, which is a summary of those changes.
Gentlemen, I would entertain a motion.
Well, I have to admit to being a little bit on the puzzled side. I'm sure your explanation was perfectly clear, but got a little confused. This is, a lot of this stuff's looking familiar here. Why did we do, why are we doing this again?
We have to adopt a resolution formalizing the decisions that you made, and because we did them
Well, last time
so,
we didn't do the resolution.
we did them so piecemeal that we would have had essentially, probably, if I had to guess, 4 different resolutions, each adopting something different. Historically, that gets very hard to follow when policies changed when you do it that way. So we tend to adopt things in bulk, if you will, unless it's one particular thing being adopted for the purpose of law, which isn't the case here with the exception of the bereavement.
So then you're saying that all of the items encompassed within this resolution have already been approved?
That's correct.
Formalizing it.
That is correct.
With an effective date.
Effective
Yeah,
date of
neither.
July 1st, 2024. So we didn't have a date when we adopted it before.
We did have a date. We had a date of July 1st so that we could get through as much of the content that we needed to get through to adopt as much at one time as possible. So we've decided that we were instructed by the board that that was a good stopping point. And so we're going to adopt all of these, make the changes to personnel policy accordingly, implement them July 1st. And then if we choose to revisit any of the additional benefits conversations that were an outcome from the classification and compensation study, we'll do those in a separate set.
So with the understanding we've already approved all this stuff, I'm going to make a motion in favor of item 13. Adopt resolution 2024-0. Also item B, direct staff, et cetera, et cetera. So
Seconded.
In the second, Allison?
Director Martinson,
yes.
Director Kintosh,
Yes.
Director Stone,
Yes.
Director Quillisi,
Yes.
Director Ulrich,
Yes.
and Director Curtis.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to item 14. Placement of manhole frames and covers. They're getting to be just like computer equipment.
I think it's actually a year to the date since our last order.
Budget adjustment number 2024-22. Allison or Bradshaw, who wants to take this one?
I think Liz is gonna go.
It's that time of year again. It seems like when I first started, we were ordering these every couple of years, but the right-of-way owners have increased their frequency of their pavement projects. A lot of times it was just the county that we were chasing, but now we have a large Caltrans project that's scheduled to start summer, fall this year. And the city of Ojai has gotten more aggressive on their repaving plan. They've given us their plan for the next 5 years and it's significantly increased. You know, it looks like they're gonna repave basically most of the city in the next 5 years. So based on that, and they are going out to bid, I believe, July for award in August, and they're hoping to get it paved this fall as well. Both those projects remain the same size that they are and go through at the same time that they plan to. We won't have enough lids in stock essentially to replace what we need to. So this is to replenish our stock. We have about 50, 60 down at the plant right now. Because we're going through them so quickly and we believe the city is going to have an aggressive paving plan, we figured we should purchase 200 this time because we went through the last 100 so quickly.
Thanks, Liz.
I will add one thing. If you notice on page 117, you'll notice something a little bit different. We present a project for a major purchase that comes out of our labor. We're going to start putting in this budget impact section. We feel like it's a good idea to sort of have you see a living balance as you approve items. So if you'll note that any budget adjustment out of this reserve for this budget packet is notated in here with an updated projected ending balance. That'll help you know, for example, this is also the reserve that we will be pursuing the Burnham Road project out of, which is approximately $1 million. So if that just helps to sort of know how quickly the balance will be completing We're going to start putting that in these staff reports. And as we incorporated future agenda items, a calendar, you can sort of cross-reference and see what we may be presenting that will impact these particular reserves. And if it comes to a point where we have to make decisions on what we choose to spend on and what we don't, that you'll be better equipped to make those decisions.
Thank you.
So I have a not too dumb question. Why can't we reuse the covers?
So over time, they get damaged by H2S.
Okay.
A lot of the ones that we don't replace ones that have been recently replaced in the last 10 to 20 years. Most of the ones we're replacing now are 30 to 60 years old. So we go through and we survey, and if it's a new style lid, we raise it. If it's an old style lid, we replace it.
That makes sense. The truck's falling into the hole.
Little.
I need a motion and a second on this as well.
Motion item. Motion to approve.
We have a motion, we have a second. Second, okay. Olson?
Director Martinson,
Yes.
Director Kentosh,
Yes.
Director Quillisi,
Yes.
Director Ulrich,
Yes.
Director Curtis,
Yeah.
and Chair Stone.
Yes. Item 15, sanitary sewer maintenance plan. MP audit by Pure Compliance LLC, contract number 2024-20, budget adjustment 2024-23. Awesome.
I'm actually, it's not actually going to be me this time. It's going to be Liz.
Okay, hi again. We have to do an audit of our SSMP every 3 years. Since our last audit, the regional board adopted a new general order, which impacts our SSMP greatly. It has a bunch of changes throughout it that impact how we respond to spills, how we're required to respond to spills. For example, previously we could sample within 48 hours. Now they want to be within 18. And littered throughout this document, there's a number of other requirements like that. So we're recommending, staff is recommending that with this 3-year audit, we have an outside consultant review our SSMP and assist us in implementing those changes to the WDR. So Fisher Compliance is familiar with our system, familiar with our SSMP. The person, James Fisher, who has worked on it, he worked for the regional board for 2 decades on enforcement. So, and he's very familiar with this new general order. So that is why we recommended going with them for this.
In our SSMP, does line cleaning and reviewing take place also?
Yes, part of it's everything to do with your collection system, how you maintain it, including line cleaning and CCTV, the required frequencies that you do that based on pipe size. So it does vary whether it's a small collector pipe or a trunk line. But yes, this is our kind of governing document. Like the plant has their permit, we have our SSMP.
Director Quillisi?
Yeah, the internal review of an updated SSMP is still going to take place, but you're saying this time, because of the number of changes, we should have an outside eye as well.
So it has to be audited every 3 years. And
This is the 3rd year.
we are due for an audit. And so we're recommending that this audit be an external audit.
So this is an every 3-year thing. We'll have to do again 3 years from now.
Staff has a goal of doing subsequent ones in-house, so long as there aren't general orders. The last general order was from 2006. There might have been some updates in like 15 or something like that. It's not every 3 years that they do this, and we are going to do an external audit. We're hoping to do them in-house in the future.
Nicholas?
I'll move approval of that contract and budget adjustment.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Other discussion? Allison, call the roll, please.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And so just as noted by Director Quillisi in his questions earlier, I just want to make on record that if the travel is required, as noted in the proposal, that we will essentially make sure that funding is available to accommodate that. Whatever the full scope of the proposal is, there'll be ample funding for that, regardless of the amount of the transfer, maybe not including.
Is that amendment good with the motion maker and second?
As long as they're not going to Tahiti to do that.
From Tahiti.
Coming from Tahiti.
Roll call, Alice.
Director Martinson,
Yes.
Director Kintosh,
Yes.
Director Clancy,
Yes.
Yes.
Director Curtis,
Yeah.
and Chair Stone.
Yes.
Moving on to item 16, legal reconciliation for fiscal year 2023-24 budget adjustment 24-20.
So generally, we do mid-year budget adjustments for any items that are abnormally projected or under projected. We try to sort of level those out if we have any concern that they will sort of self-level by virtue of underspending in certain areas and maybe a little bit overspending in other line items, but departmentally they'll level out. In this particular case, we only have one budget adjustment that we're recommending prior to reconciliation of the end of the fiscal year. And that is, and I've alluded to this at a couple of meetings, that this would be coming, and it has to do with our legal expenses. We currently budgeted in the 23-24 fiscal year, $80,000. In prior fiscal years, we actually budgeted quite a bit more than that, $160,000. We weren't spending that for several years, and so we did reduce the amount. We are back to sort of needing a lot of legal review for various things. Obviously, ADU legislation continues to be an area that we leverage our legal counsel for. We had some FEMA disasters that resulted in spills, which our legal counsel is assisting and communicating with the regional board regarding sort of closing that out and identifying what our fines or penalties may be. We also have, the board has approved a contract with Lieber Cassidy Whitmore, LCW, to help with some of the more complex personnel related things. And so all of those are general and specialty legal counsel that the district, by way of approval of the board, has chosen to leverage that subject matter expertise. It comes at an expense. And so we recommending that we try to estimate as close as possible to zero out that line item because it is sort of quite heavily over expended. Current expenditures, this is through April 30th, is $172,925. We still have a couple of months left to essentially make payments on and post in the system. So that would be May and June. So staff is recommending that expenditures be estimated at $210,000 of what it is that will be over, and transferring that from the contingency and stabilization reserve into legal services general operational budget. Try to balance that fund out. For the 24-25 fiscal year, you may have noticed that we estimated $160,000 in legal service fees, which is more traditional to prior budget years. So we think that that will be sufficient going forward. We just had some very sort of extra circumstances this fiscal year that we need to account for.
Let's not forget the litigation that we prevailed on in every instance.
Yes, exactly. Much content, right, Misha?
Bargain it twice.
All right. Discussion or questions?
The question, so when we do initiate or respond to a lawsuit, let's say we haven't budgeted for it, we don't do that or
If you'll
a budget adjustment like this?
Yeah, if you remember, because we never know how much it's actually going to cost. So presumably you authorize legal counsel to act on your behalf for these matters that they come to closed session for, that you are essentially acknowledging that there's going to be expenditures that fall under that. And for the terms of the contract that you already are in with that particular law firm. But it would be hard to really know. And I think we've tried to essentially get some sort of idea, and we never really know because we never know what our respondents are going to do over the course of time that's going to require continued sort of legal engagement and responses. It's hard to say. I don't think we could really estimate what this is going to be. We do our best, and actually most every year we fall perfectly within our budget. This year, not the case. Like I said, some very unique circumstances.
Thank you.
Entertain a motion.
I move approval of the budget transfer.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
Second, I'm sorry.
Director Martinson. Call the roll, please, Alice.
Director Martinson,
Yay.
Director Kentosh,
Yes.
Director Quillisi,
Yes.
Director Ulrich,
Yes.
Director Curtis. Stone.
Yes. All right, moving on to information items. 17 through 22. Is there anything in there anybody wants to pull off and talk about?
Pretty straightforward. Very enlightening compliments to the operations staff. Making such a comprehensive report. Thank you.
Pictures are always nice too.
Yeah.
And I think we heard what came from the ordinance committee for that meeting, so.
Yep.
So move to item 23. Board member comments.
I have a question more than sorry, go ahead, you were first.
And whether this is the appropriate venue for that, but we've been talking about legal expenses. Would it be possible to filter or extract legal expenses to date from 2016 through 2023? Legal expenses related to ADUs?
I mean, anything is possible.
And it doesn't, I'm not talking about general numbers. Need as much as they've been.
Must keep internal records of some sort.
It would take a lot to go over the billing records and look for anything that mentions ADU. I've only been with the firm a couple of years, but I would assume that they keep those billing records, or you guys probably have them.
We can certainly do it.
I'm thinking of from the perspective of internal records. I don't need attorneys spending money looking at attorney records.
It's perfectly doable because like I said, they're all itemized
Yeah,
by billable
but
hours.
that's
and so
what
I
I-
can go down to the
so-
statement, yes.
And once again, 2016 through 2023 and whatever it takes to get there. I yield.
Your question kind of is along my lines for the city just agreed to purchase a lot downtown across from Seafresh. I think they're planning to put 30 small units on there. Are they going to require an individual hookup for each one of those?
No, it's communal.
It's considered,
Communal,
Communal kitchen, a communal bathroom.
that's how they're doing it.
and that's the proposal. There's a lot of resistance to it. And that's sprung up very forcefully, but we'll see what happens.
I was wondering how they were gonna do that, because that would have been, they had like $1.2 million or something to work with, and had they done individual hookups, that would have used up $1 million just.
No, that's just the amount to purchase the land. It's 1.150.
But we're not gonna have an issue with them, an argument over whether they're multiple hookups or, good. Communal's good. Well,
That's its proposed.
May or may not be, but
there's other reasons to,
we can work with.
right, okay. Well, that was my only question. So good, thank you.
Any other board member comments or? Ms. Young, Mr. Pruitt? Do you have any reports from general manager comments?
I just got one thing to put out at the end.
Okay, so the general manager recruitment subcommittee is Director Quillisi, Stone, and Berg. I had a preliminary meeting with CPS HR Consulting regarding these recruitments that you approved them to conduct at last meeting. They're prepared to host the project kickoff meeting. My recommendation would be that they do that to the full board because they'll go through essentially the incremental stages. They'll talk about, each person's role and responsibility through the process, various benchmarks. They'll also go over the entire sort of scope of work. And I think it's important the full board knows sort of what that's going to look like. So I will be reaching out to set up a special meeting specifically so that CPS HR Consulting can do that initial kickoff. And then it'll be at board discretion how you choose to structure that, what you choose to take to the full board. And that will have Brown Act requirements for posting and so on and so forth. The subcommittee is not subject to the Brown Act. It is not a standing committee that's been confirmed. And so that committee is free to work with CPS HR Consulting as needed and then refer whatever it is they feel like is appropriate for decision making to the full board at any given time. So that's sort of preliminarily the structure for that. So I'll be reaching out to get that scheduled for you to start working with that consultant.
Do we have a signed contract?
We do. We do have a signed contract. Director Stone, Martinson, and Ulrich, they are the subcommittee for LCW Employee Satisfaction Survey Committee. And I believe LCW has reached out directly to get mutual availability to schedule that work of starting to discuss the employee satisfaction surveys. I believe with the goal of there being some sort of action plan. They'll work directly with you, to reach out if you need any sort of support at all in that regard. And I'm happy to help, but they have elected to work directly with that subcommittee. And so that will be coming. And a reminder that the elections filing period is July 15th to August 9th. Papers will not be pulled through the district. The county issues the papers themselves. Their preferences is that you schedule 2 appointments, 1 appointment to go down and pull your paperwork. It's about 40 minutes. They go over all of sort of the do's, don'ts, how to fill it out, what not to fill out, what's optional, et cetera, et cetera. Super nice folks down there. We've talked to them several times already this year. You'll also then schedule a subsequent appointment to turn in your paperwork with them. Each appointment probably about 40 minutes. The appointments can be scheduled on their website. I'm happy to help send you the link, guide you, schedule your appointment, whatever it is that you need. I'm here to help. They post-COVID, they become very automated and very structured in sort of how they do this. And so it's a little bit different than folks are used to pulling the paperwork for me and then taking it down there. It's different this year.
This is for districts 1, 3, 5, and 7.
That is correct.
I didn't have to do any of this last time for last election. Why is it?
You did. You should.
Never had an appointment with anybody.
You may not have had maybe they may have started the appointment last election. So previously, they would send me this bulk of paperwork, tons of paperwork. And I would essentially print off packets for anybody who wanted to file. I would hand them the paperwork. I wasn't in charge of anything about the paperwork. I just literally, you could come here and say, I want to pull papers, and I'd keep a running list of who pulled papers and turn it into them. And that's how that worked. And then you would drop off your paperwork to them. Like, that's how that worked. I'm guessing because of, staffing post-COVID and so on and so forth, and possibly the follow-up when they get paperwork that is not complete, they've opted to be very hands-on in the process. And we saw this coming post-COVID. They've changed it quite a bit. So now they solely handle the process themselves. And so if anybody needs paperwork, like I said, I'm happy to sort of facilitate where to get that from and everything, but I won't be printing the paperwork here anymore.
So 4 years ago, I didn't have to do any of this, and now we do.
Correct.
That's an improvement.
You get to go to the basement of the government center,
It's just make.
elections division.
Isn't it?
It's the closest to
Okay.
me.
Okay.
So that's that. So be mindful.
All right, one other question on something you heard before, and that's the general manager. Is there any requirement that if someone wants to apply for the general manager position, they have to go through these consultants? We just get a letter in the mail one day, a resume, and we think, ah, this is the guy.
You have to ask your consultant about that. I mean, they can choose how they want someone to apply. Generally speaking, the platform exists of how to apply. And you wouldn't, I don't know why you would discourage someone to not follow the process. It's not like a commission-based something, it's a flat fee. So why you wouldn't want someone to actually go through your consultant to have them screen everything and have the standardized application. I don't see how you could actually apply and use all of the tools without using their tools. Because you can't, like, it's not just a resume. They'll have a whole set of host of things that are required to be submitted to deem a complete application. And I think without doing that, I don't know how you would actually get those tools. It's not as simple as dropping off a resume. If someone dropped off a resume, I'd probably just.
The election process 4 years ago, no problem. You gotta get through all this. Okay.
Allison? On the election filing, what's the deadline, the last day for filing from the?
August 9th. I'll send out a reminder to those folks who are considering reelection. Okay, so CalPERS has preliminarily approved 2025 health insurance premiums. There's still preliminary ruling, sort of final adoption, and any contract negotiations that are still outstanding. It looks like it's between an 8 and 15% increase across most commonly used plans. I don't, it's a little bit more than last year, it's about what we see from one plan to the other. They seem to swap off. That will come to the board in August when those plans are formally adopted and those premiums are finalized. We'll have that conversation in August as we do with every year. Let's see. I'll be reaching out to the personnel committee in the next month or so or less to set up a committee meeting. This is when we start our cost of living conversations. And I think that's about all I have. Bradshaw?
Okay, I just wanted to make the board aware, our Wildcat compost turner just went out to Oxnard to get clutch repair work done. I think Mr. Quillisi, I think you brought it up last month, wondered about dry biosalts, right?
Yes, right.
So we're a little bit behind. We normally start in April-ish, weather dependent. We were using the composting area for a little bit of storage for some materials that we pulled out of the ditches. So we've got that dried out and it's ready to go. We were also working on a change with our remote control system to operate from the cab of our front end loader to operate the Wildcat compost turner that hooks up to the front of the loader. So we're very close to completing that, but come to find out we have a clutch problem with the Wildcat compost turner. So it's in for service, it's in for repair. We're not exactly sure how that's going to play out or how quickly it's going to play out. And so I hope to have that back in the next 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and we'll roll right into the composting and get that process established and hopefully get some good windrows made and have some good finished product at the end of the season.
Compost turner goes down a windrow and turns everything over and.
It does, yeah. We go up and down both sides of each windrow. We'll hook it to the front of the loader and we'll go down and we'll run down one side with the big motor operated turner, stern everything up, and then we'll turn around and go back to the other side. Works very well. There wasn't a whole lot of rental options. We did look into that. They have big windrow straddle units. You sit in this cab above the whole windrow and it goes down and does the whole thing. But with our slopes on the east and west sides of our compost area, that won't work for us. And there's just not a whole lot of options. So we're working on it. We're all very anxious to get our composting going and, business as usual. Wanted to make you all aware.
Thank you, Bradshaw. With that, we'll move on to item 24. Adjournment at 7:11.
Need a second?